A wildfire breaks out in a desert valley and quickly spreads, forcing a herd of gazelles to flee for their lives. But one young female is separated from the herd and has no choice but to try and hide away in the tall grasses. She watched as the fire passed over, scorching everything in its path, leaving her alone and scared in the smoldering ruins of her once home. Days go by and the small fire gradually turns into an inferno. Her body is weak from dehydration and exhaustion, and she's slowly losing hope. Just when she thinks it can't get any worse, she hears the crunching of stones and the heavy breathing of a predator getting closer and closer. And she realizes that if she can't get up and run, she'd be dead within minutes. Meanwhile, a wildlife drone operator flies his drone over the charred remains of the valley searching for animals that need help. When he sees the gazelle lying there motionless, he immediately alerts the emergency team, who jump in their vehicles and race toward the coordinates where she was spotted. As they speed along the only road through the burned valley, they have no idea what they're going to find. They pass huge piles of ash and rocks and drive over cracked earth as the wind whips through the empty spaces between the dry brush, kicking up dust devils that dance in the hot air. The road eventually ends, and they have to abandon their vehicle and continue on foot. The closer they get, the more the gazelle's soft cries become audible above the wind, leading them to a secluded spot where she's hiding in the wreckage. She looks at them with fear and uncertainty in her eyes, unsure if they're friend or foe. But they slowly gain her trust by speaking in soft, reassuring tones and showing her that they mean her no harm. She cautiously approaches them, drawn in by their calm demeanor. They assess her condition and determine that she's severely dehydrated, malnourished, and has burns on her legs and flanks. Her heart is racing and her breathing is shallow and rapid as she struggles to take in air. One of the team members gently strokes her back and she leans into his touch, finding comfort in the unexpected kindness shown by these strange creatures. With her strength slowly returning, they carefully lift her onto a stretcher and begin the arduous task of carrying her out of the valley. The terrain is rough and uneven, making it difficult to navigate, but they persevere, determined to get her to safety. As they finally reach the waiting vehicle, the gazelle is visibly exhausted, but the team is relieved to know that she soon receive medical attention. At the Wildlife Center, the gazelle is welcomed by a team of experts who wasted no time in beginning her treatment. They gave her fluids to rehydrate her and food to nourish her body, which had been weakened by days of thirst and stress. The staff worked tirelessly to treat her wounds, cleaning and dressing her burns while she lay calmly on the table, trusting in their care. Despite the trauma she had endured, the gazelle's spirit remained unbroken. She was a fighter and she wanted to live. After several weeks of intensive care, the gazelle began to show signs of recovery. Her eyes regained their sparkle, her coat became shiny and thick, and she was finally ready to be released back into the wild. On the day of her release, the entire staff turned out to see her off. They had grown attached to her during her stay at the center and were eager to see her return to her natural habitat. As the staff prepared the enclosure for her release, the gazelle paced back and forth, eager to be let out into the open space. Finally, the moment arrived. The gate to her enclosure was opened and she stepped out, taking in the sights and sounds of the vast wilderness that stretched out before her. She took a few tentative steps, then broke into a run, her powerful legs carrying her swiftly across the terrain. With each stride, the gazelle felt a sense of freedom and joy that she had never experienced before. The wind rushing through her fur as she raced across the plains, feeling alive and full of energy. The team watched as she disappeared into the distance, knowing that they had played a part in her remarkable journey. They had saved her life when she was at her most vulnerable, and now she was free to roam the wild once more. But the gazelle's story wasn't over yet. In fact, it was just beginning. As she continued to explore her surroundings, she would encounter other animals, some friendly and some not so much. She would need to use all of her skills and instincts to survive in the wild, but she was ready for the challenge. Now that she was healthy and strong, she could outrun predators and find plenty of food to eat. She would also need to be cautious, however, as there were many dangers lurking in the wilderness. But the gazelle was up for the task. She was a survivor and she knew how to take care of herself. As the sun began its slow descent, the gazelle found a secluded spot to rest. She curled up and closed her eyes, feeling a sense of peace and contentment that she had never known before. Just then, she heard a familiar sound, the gentle voice of one of the people who had rescued her. He was calling out to her, asking if she was okay. The gazelle opened her eyes and looked around, wondering where he was. Then she saw him standing at the edge of the trees, waving to her. The gazelle hesitated for a moment, then she did something that no one expected. She stood up and started running toward the sound of his voice. As she ran, she felt a surge of happiness and excitement that she had never experienced before. When she got closer, she saw that he wasn't alone. All of the people who had helped her were there, smiling and waving to her. The gazelle slowed to a halt and looked at them, her eyes shining with gratitude and affection. Then, as if they had telepathic connection, they all started to run together across the plains, laughing and playing. The gazelle had found her new pack, and she was home at last. So, if this story touched your heart, please don't forget to hit the like button. Your support means the world to us. Also, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our future videos. Thank you for being a part of our story and for caring about wildlife as much as we do. Together, we can make a difference.